Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Mindset Monday. I'm Susan Johnson with Susan Johnson and Associates, and I'm thrilled to have you all here again to launch a fabulous week with high energy, inspiration, and passion. I've got a great topic today. I've done this topic a couple times, but it's been actually a long time since I've done it. And there's an actual purpose as to why I chose this today. It's based on a book called The 212 Degrees. So if you've heard that before, give me a little thumbs up or something. We've got people logging on. Come on live on the call, listen back on podcast and YouTube, etc. But if you're missing an episode of Agent Power Huddle, you can always look back on these on the website of agentpowerhuddle.com and also, of course, on YouTube and podcast. So it's really good to be able to catch up with all these episodes. But there's reason and purpose why I chose this today. As many of you, and including myself and my team, we are completely focused on taking our business up to another level, there's always another level, first and foremost. If you already think you're operating way up here, well, guess what? You can even go another degree above that. And with what's happening in our industry, especially, of course, we are all talking about the NAR settlement, et cetera, it is absolutely necessary to take that extra degrees in everything we do. It also even means dialing back and going back to some basics in some cases, too. And I know we generate a lot of online leads, but I'll tell you, back 24 years ago when I started my business, I was out in the farm areas walking and talking. And guess what? I'm actually even doing that again now. Going back to basics, taking it another level up though. And my message now is with a lot of QR codes and video and driving them back to the website, et cetera. So today's meeting and today's Agent Power Huddle is really about the mindset. It's about Mindset Monday and really about taking it that extra degrees and what happens when you actually, instead of stepping out of the business, you put that shoulder forward and you lean in to your business. What happens when you push them, you do that extra degrees? Well, let's dive in here, okay? So 212 degrees, think about it like this. At 211 degrees, water is very hot, right? 211 degrees, water is hot. But that extra 1 degree makes all the difference in the world, because at 212 degrees, that water boils. And with boiling water comes steam. And guess what? Steam can actually power a locomotive. Think about that over and over and over again. If you've been doing your business and you're actually doing great in your business, which is fantastic, but maybe you might be struggling a little bit, that's okay. Either way, we all have kind of these ebbs and flows, and we can always do that extra degrees that's going to take it to a whole nother level. So raising the temperature just 1 degree means the difference of something that's very hot and something that can actually power a machine. So remember that when you're planning your week, when you're planning your day. Day by day, we talked about our morning routines, we talk about being very purposeful our day. What can we do today that's going to push us another extra degree? If you haven't heard of Krista Mayshore, I'm sure you probably have, but if you haven't, I go in her program too. So we're literally walking in our neighborhoods again. We're doing CMA drop-offs that, and getting results. I had 6 seller leads come in 1 week that, just doing these drop-offs that I hadn't done in years, Yeah, right? I mean, little things that are easy. You have a question?
Yeah, those CMA drop-offs that you use, where do you order those from?
Oh, are you in her program? Did you see?
No, I'm not. I'm familiar with Krista, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But like the nice pretty boxes that she has, I don't know where to find them.
Oh, well, first of all, I designed it myself, which, again, I've hired out so many people. I can go through my wins and losses, but I'll tell you what, I designed it myself on Canva, and then I ordered it for a company called U Printing. So U Printing is, so and we get into detail this, and I'm happy to share this, Darius, right? If you want to message me too, I can give you even more detailed on that, because they are fabulous. And so those are, they can be a little bit costly at the same time. For first, I do a CMA drop-off without the box, all right? Just a market report, but with a CMA some people do specifically into the house. I do specific for the neighborhood. And then with now QR codes are, man, if you're not using QR codes in your business, get on some training and use them, because I'm getting so many more results on those. It's crazy. But once somebody gets on the QR code, for example, and they raise their hand for a home value, right? It may or may not be selling, but maybe they are, and even if they're not, you meet them. As soon as they raise their hand, that's when they're getting the box, right? Got 3 more to deliver today. I dropped 3 off over the weekend. So anyway, guys, the whole point of this is doing something 1 degree more. 1 degree more. I mean, I've been farming for years, but I haven't been doing the CMA drop-offs. And I haven't been doing I was doing QR codes, but now I'm doing dynamic QR codes. Well, what does that mean? That means anytime somebody scans one of my videos, or scans for a home value report, I can see who it is. Okay, I could track that. There's the CMA drop off from there. So that's a whole other training, but just give you some ideas of what that extra degree actually means. It means taking purposeful action to push it another level, to do something different and unique that you maybe haven't been doing, in the past. And what's that going to do? So if you've watched I've been on Agent Power Huddle for a while, but if I launched this Agent Power Huddle 4 years ago. But anyway, what I always talk about is I was training for the fire department years ago. And one thing is, people will back off when things start to get hard. But in the fire department, what they teach you is to roll that shoulders, get down and dig it. And that's what I'm talking about with this extra 1 degree. Make sense? So let's carry on from that. So the only thing that really stands, between a person and what they want is their willingness to try, right? And also they have to have faith and believe that it's possible. You have to have faith and believe. Really, if you can tune out the negativity, tune out and scan past, there's so many posts, guys, I'm sure you see them like I do on, they're going to be on lab coats. They could be on one of these, real estate mastermind, pages, and they're just talking about, what are you doing for your backup gig or something like that, or gosh, this has been a terrible year, and anyway, you can get drawn into all that. But what I'm asking you to do today is get out of that mindset and lean in to the extra degree of doing something different and something else that's going to actually start getting that roll of momentum happening for you. Okay, so 211 degrees, water's hot. 212 degrees, that 1 extra degrees, that's the water boils, steam comes up, and with that steam, you can power that locomotive. Raising that 1 degrees, just means something else is going to happen for you. That steam is going to take you to another level. It's a fantastic metaphor. It reminds us that seemingly small things can actually make a tremendous difference. It can actually make a tremendous difference. I mean, goodness, years ago, I would door hang, just listed, just sold, market report, yada, yada, that kind of thing. Well, what's happened? What's the difference? Those still work, by the way. You can do a postcard, you can do door hanger, whatever you want. But I'll tell you what, here's the difference. The difference is now the message. The difference is now the QR codes. The difference is the videos that we shoot, that now it's easy to get in front of people. Even my market updates now have a video that goes with it that talks about the market update versus just the stats and whatnot. So doing those kind of things, 212, 3 numbers joined together can be a crystallizing message. So here's the thing. If you're still looking for a shiny object, there's shiny objects everywhere. Are shiny objects bad? No, they're really not, guys. There's a lot of great information out there that can help every one of it. And by the way, if you understand behavioral styles, some people can sit there and pound the phone for hours. Other people will poke their eye out for time. For them, like people like me, I do pound the phones, mind you, but I got to tell you, I love getting out to the people. I actually like walking the neighborhoods. It's great exercise. And you know what? It's getting me back into, I listen to podcasts while I'm doing it. I used to hire this stuff out. I can still hire it out, but I don't want to. Why? Because I'm leaning in again. Okay. And I'm feeling more accomplished because I'm leaning in and getting great results. The thing about all the shiny objects that are out there, again, you'll see them everywhere. But the difference between the people that will succeed and be able to, one is focus, right? We can jump around to all these different shiny objects, but you're going to have to pick eventually and make a decision. Another one of my podcasts is make a decision. Which one are you going to go with? What are you going to do that you continue to do it consistently with passion and you take it to another degree, another level. That's where I'm going today. The problem with the shiny objects are that people can be very inconsistent. Sure, you've heard this before. It's probably not something that's new to you, but I'll tell you, when we start to bring it to the forefront of our mind, today's Monday. That's why I love this Monday Agent, Power Huddle, because it just kind of gets us to refocus. What are we going to do this week to do that extra degree? And don't start darting off into 100 different directions. Keep the blinders on, get laser focused, and take it up that extra degree. You know what? That even goes back to listing presentations, my listing presentation. I tell you guys, from 24 years, you guys might be as long as me, or maybe not quite as long, maybe longer, who knows? But we can get into a routine where maybe it's successful, but is it as successful? Are you showing up with that passion that you did, 10 years ago? Or is it now wash, rinse, and repeat, and you're really not putting that extra degree in where people are noticing? I can be very proud that in 24 years of in this business, when I meet with people, they're still saying to me things like, "Oh, you really love what you do." Yeah, I do. I'm glad it shows. By the way, if you heard Krista, there's also the book. I've got the book that I'm doing. So now in those boxes, Darius, right? In the boxes, I'll put one of the books. I'll put one of the magazines, or the magazine that I do, a seller's guide. All these kind of things that I didn't have a year ago. I'm stepping it up. Okay, stepping it up. Does it require you
seller's guide for Blueprint as well?
I know. I made this on Canva and then just printed it and bound it. You print it a little bit more costly, but you can print them from, So there's all sorts of great, you can get these and you can spend a lot of money, or you can just get creative and put in some of the things that a seller would want to know about staging their home, about pricing, about, what we do in terms of marketing. I don't get into everything in there, but just enough to stand out amongst the other agents, just enough to make them go, I want to hear more, just enough for the seller, shoulder over, to lean in and go, I want to hear a little bit more about that. This is different. Nobody else is doing this in my neighborhood. No, we haven't seen. I live in a nice tract neighborhood. I don't get her people hardly ever reaching out over here. Think about it. We think it's saturated, but it's not. Another thing, I'm going a little bit off course, but it all has to do with that 212 degrees. If you take a farm area and you go back 12 months and you look at that farm area, see who's dominating. I have done this, and I would be able to show, if we have more than 30 minutes, to get on and show you how I've researched now probably about 20 different areas. Now, I don't have 20 different farms, but here's why I did it. I just wanted to see what's going on. Are people actually going out and farming? Are they doing what I did 24 years ago? Are they walking and talking and getting the traction in neighborhoods? And you know what? They're not, because of the internet, they're all over the place. So I'm seeing that there's not really a lot of people dominating where we think they're dominating. They're really not. There might be, 20, 25 sales, and maybe somebody has 3 or 4 of them. That is not dominating. It's wide open. So remember that one extra degree, focus and lean in. If you decide to take a geographic farm and start doing some of this stuff, and you will see just in the matter, I just went back to my farming probably, 2 months ago, not that long. I'm already seeing results from it. It's just because people aren't doing it. So, and what am I doing? I'm not just doing just listed, just sold. I'm getting into action, doing it another degree. Get my message there? So commitment is what it takes to actually follow through with it. Because here's the thing about farming. If you decide to pick up farming, once you start, do not stop. Consistency means everything. Farming is called farming because you have to nurture it. Sometimes the results happen quickly, like just because 6 people raise their hand, that doesn't necessarily mean 6 people are ready to sell. They wanted a home value. That's okay. They're going to get my box. I'm going to get the dialogue talking. In fact, one of them, this is a good story too. If you start doing these home values, one of them, I met with the sellers for goodness about 2.5 hours. My listing presentations are not that long, but you really hit it off because they called me. Why? Because their home value was off. Laughable. They were almost like, what is this home value? Well, home values are algorithms. Once I explained that to them, I said, come over and do a customize. She started telling me all about her home. I showed up and did the home value with her, and they may or may not sell within the year, but they referred me their neighbor, and I dropped off a box to their neighbor, by the way. So we'll see where that goes. But you get the whole message, in terms of that extra degree and showing up differently. Okay. So commitment and be very persistent in that action, being persistent in the action. I'll tell you one more thing I just tweak. And again, this is just an idea. I'll just throw out ideas in this topic today. Hopefully it's motivating for you for Monday and giving you energy to try something new. But do you know, like when I go to a listing presentation, I go prepared hard copy with, well, I don't know the area, but hard copy presentation, CMA. I also go digitally so they can have it digitally. And I've got my little my laptop, so I can bring an iPad. Well, I went to, this one was over millions. I went to, and it took a 32-inch screen. Very easy. I got it in a case, 32-inch screen. I use them all over houses. Plugged in HDMI cord to it and sat back with the seller, and the presentation now was on a bigger screen. And they loved it. I'm like, yeah, I look kind of funny. I joke with them. I'm like, it looks like I'm moving in with you here. But anyway, but when I said, it's still the experience for the seller. What's the benefit? The benefit to the seller. You always want to show the benefit. By the way, so I'll joke about, I've got this big screen, but guess what? Your experience and what you're going to see now is going to be so much better than if the three of us, husband and wife, me, are leaning our heads into a little iPad, right? So the experience was so much nicer. That's just taking it an extra degree. So continuing to apply that effort, will continually, so it's fun to try new things and increase what we're doing and get better and better at it. And that's what this, if you're listening to any other podcast, if you're listening to a lot of, I'm in a Tom Ferry every Wednesday is doing something called the NAR effect. If you go and listen to those podcasts too, what you're hearing as a very consistent message is getting back to basics and sharpening our skills, sharpening my listing. How can I improve it? I think I have a pretty good listing presentation already, but you know what? When I added the bigger screen and made the experience better, I took it up another level. Buyer consultation. I've been doing buyer consultations for a year, but same thing. Now I buyer guide, now it's a matter of sharpening, asking more questions, and also taking the NAR settlement and how do we interpret that NAR settlement, understand the NAR settlement and explain it so you're not spending 2 hours with the client talking about a NAR settlement that their head's going to spin off. What's important to them? How does it affect them? And how can you present it in a way that's clear? And that takes practicing. It takes practice. And this is what I mean by that extra degrees. Are you going to show up, sharpen your skills, sharpened and current? Or are you going to show up just kind of bumbling your words and not having the detailed information that people are so clearly seeking out, and that there are so many myths and misunderstandings about that settlement? So this 212 degrees applies to all of this. It just means no matter what, wherever you're at. And by the way, I'm talking real estate right now, but this can go in every area of your life, taking it that extra degrees. There's a story in the book. The book is just a little book. If you ever get a chance to read it, the 212 degrees. And I like telling this story when I go on this topic because it talks about a vice president of a food company, how he was interviewing for a sales rep. He was interviewing to hire on a sales rep. And so one morning he had a bunch of interviews lined up, and he brought in one person that he really thought this was the person he was going to hire. He really thought, oh my gosh, this person's sharp. He looks sharp. He just feels like it's going to be a great interview. His resume was fantastic. And when he met with this guy, he asks a question every time he interviews somebody. And he says, well, what will you be doing 5 years from now? And the person he was interviewing responded with, well, Mr. Anderson, with the way these appointments have been going, I might still be interviewing. Bad answer. Shortly thereafter, the vice president shook his hand and let him go. But later in the afternoon, he interviewed somebody else. This person didn't seem quite as polished initially with, the resume and everything else. But when he walked in, there was something different about him. This guy took it to that one extra degrees. This guy leaned in. This guy gave him a firm handshake. This guy sat down and, when Mr. Anderson asked him the same question, what are you going to be doing 5 years from now? The answer was way different than the other person that was interviewed. And here's what he did. All of a sudden, he sat up really tall in his chair. He looked him straight in the eye and he said, Mr. Anderson, in 5 years, not only am I going to be working for you, but I know this job fits my skill set and fits my needs to a T. I don't just think it, I know it. I'm going to be very successful selling your product in any market. Okay. What a different response than the other guy. Well, he was blown away. He goes, and furthermore, if you're not happy with my performance, you don't even need to pay me. He was offering a service for the first 90 days or something like that without even being paid because he was so confident in himself and he felt so strongly about the product. You see the difference? That's the extra degrees. Showing up, sharpening your skill set, and having the belief that it's possible. And of course, the story goes on. This is actually a true story. He went on to be hired and became the top sales rep for that company for several years. So I love that story in this book because it does really, hammer home what I'm talking about when it comes to raising the degree, doing something different. And folks, the thing about it again is the consistency. Watch out and be very cautious of the shiny object syndrome. If you want to start CMA drop off, if you want to start farming again, do your research. Yeah, I researched 20 different farms and I selected my top ones that I'm focused and committed, but I don't start these and go out for 2 months and then go, you know what, I think I'm going to try the other one instead. I just wasted all my time and money because it takes consistency and effort over and over again. So, changing videos, changing your message, bringing QR codes in, bringing, different types of materials that are going to make you stand out above the crowd. And then what happens when you get that appointment? You show up. You show up better prepared and highly skilled, sharpening and practicing your listing presentation, your buyer consultation, and you deliver at another higher level. That makes sense? Taking that extra degrees, one step at a time in everything you do. So that's some of the things I've been getting. I know just, listening to these different, I jump around with the podcast because there's just so much valuable information. Agent Power Huddle, by the way, not because I'm hosting it, but legitimately is one of my favorites. I go back and I go onto the YouTube channels and, listen to them over and over and over again because there's so many different topics that we have. And I take the very best of the best and then I implement it into my business and into everything I'm doing to train. And I hope you do the same thing. The NAR effect with Tom Ferry, fabulous. If you haven't, you go on to Tom Ferry's page. There's a lot of different NAR things around, but the NAR effect's been one of my favorites in terms of, and they're taking everything to, because it's not just about understanding the settlement, guys. It's also about how to deliver the information. What are the tactical strategies that agents are going to be using here with this change? What are the tactical strategies? So when you get an online, because we have online leads coming in, what are the tactical strategies of the online lead that comes in? What are you going to do? How are you going to push that extra degrees when the online lead comes in now to make sure that they know you've got that buyer representation agreement and you've got to do a buyer consultation? So we can go into a lot of this kind of things, but hopefully you're getting the message today about that extra degrees means starting inside of us and, steaming it up another level and sharpening our skills to deliver everything we're doing right now. And, it's actually been kind of fun because, I'm trying new things too. And hopefully that keeps your interest and your passion burning in your business as well. Instead of just, we all like systems, wash, rinse, and repeat. So the system part of it, at the same time, it's nice to kind of try new things and see what's going to happen now that I'm leveling it up again. Now that I'm leveling it up and trying something new. And I'll tell you, just that last week, that was really exciting to get, 6 people raising their hands in 1 week, for that. So that was fun. You do whatever you want to do with your business and try that, but stay consistent. And whatever you do, that extra degrees is going to make all the difference in the world. So from this day forward, you're going to commit to operating at what? 212 degrees, right? Everything you do, etch it in your thinking. It in your being, apply the process. And so that's really wrapping it up today on our Agent Power Huddle. I'm glad you joined in. Listen back, like I said again, and reach out to getting your, there's all sorts of people that can help you and all sorts of great ideas. It's up to you to be consistent, put that extra degree into action and make things happen. All right. Have a great and powerful week, everybody. Thanks for joining in on us and listen back to these Agent Power Huddle. Good to see you and good to talk to you. Have a great week.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.